Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for Glee, Season 6, Episode 4, The Hurt Locker, Part 1. And this episode I was looking forward to, definitely, because the season has been amazing so far. I loved where they went with everything. I have loved the first 3 episodes. I had no problems with that. And then this episode comes along. What the fuck happened tonight? What the fuck happened? Like, seriously. This episode felt so out of place and not like the rest of the season. And don't get me wrong, this was not a horrible episode. It definitely is the weirdest episode I think I've ever seen of Glee. It's very weird, but there were some things that I actually really liked that they did tonight, but there were so many things that were just so weird and out of place, and I like the overall plot of this episode. I definitely really enjoyed it. I'm going to talk about the things I really liked and the things that I didn't like, but let's just get to this episode. I'm going to talk about what I think they did right, what they did wrong. Some things just got way too crazy tonight. Some things got way too crazy. There are some directions that I don't really know if I like where they're heading, but hopefully, since this is a two-parter, after this two-parter, the show will get back to what it originally was like in Season 6. I'm going to talk about what the problem is with this episode. First of all, so far this season has been very realistic. It's been not too over the top. It hasn't been cheesy. It hasn't been like, what the fuck. It hasn't been unwatchable. It hasn't been, it's been a very good show. It's had some great music. It's had some amazing performances, some great acting, some amazing storylines. And this episode was completely not like that, because this episode starts off, and I like the way the episode started off. I actually really enjoyed it. We see Sue and Will having a conversation and everything. They are basically there because Sue, now that, Will is no longer in the New Directions, they're basically friends now. They're talking, and suddenly, as they're talking, Will's talking about coaching Vocal Adrenaline and how he's there to rehearse with the New Directions, and suddenly, when he leaves, Sue sees this plastic fork on the table, and she starts to get extremely crazy and paranoid, and I don't even know why she got worried about a plastic fork. A plastic fork. A plastic fork. I'm not kidding. A plastic fork. Really, a plastic fork. It's absolutely insane that she got upset over a plastic fork. I don't understand that at all. I don't understand why they did that. I think it was completely stupid, and I like her little narration, though. We see that she takes Becky to, she tells Becky she was thinking about retiring, and now she's not thinking about retiring because now it's all about taking down Will and slowly taking down Rachel. She has this thing called the Wall of Hate, and we see a picture of Will, and basically her plan is to take down Will and then take down Rachel and then destroy the Glee Club forever. And the thing here, this is what I don't like about this, is that Sue, her character is so inconsistent. They don't know what to do with her character. Honestly, her character went way too far in this episode. At this point, I'm like, okay, it's typical Sue taking down the Glee Club. I thought this was kind of funny, actually, with the Wall of Hate. The thing that was really weird is her obsession with Claim, which I'll get to. That's the subplot. I'll get to that. But that was very weird. I mean, the Wall of Hate wasn't too weird, but I thought it was just a little bit strange. Now, Will is rehearsing with Rachel, and I really like their scenes together. I definitely really like where it was. I like their scenes, definitely. I thought that was very well done. Will and Rachel, I like seeing them as friends. I definitely like seeing them, and I did not like seeing them at the end of this episode. I didn't like what happened to them at the end of this episode, because I thought it was unnecessary. Will is there to rehearse with Rachel. They basically just want to keep, being friends and not have a fight because, if they have nothing against each other, why have a fight? Really, why have a fight? Why create problems? So Will tells Rachel he's very proud of her, and Rachel says that, she really misses him, and she is trying to be as good as he is, and she even asked him for advice, and I like that she asked him for advice, and I like that it really was reminiscent of episode 1, the first episode where her and, Will had that conversation on the bleachers, and, she talked about how being a part of something special makes you special. They actually referenced that in this episode. They reference it all the time, but I thought it kind of reminded me of that, and I actually really enjoyed that, because I really enjoyed, I really enjoyed seeing these references. I really enjoyed what happened there. The problem that ruined this for me is when Sue starts to overhear this, she goes extremely insane. And what she decides to do is just completely out of line. She does whatever she can to sabotage the Glee Club. She decides to hypnotize Sam. And it's the stupidest thing ever. She is hypnotizing Sam. Basically, her plan is for him to fall in love with Rachel and basically become a distraction, so Rachel will become distracted about invitationals, because that's what's going to happen, is that they have scheduled an invitational for the New Directions, Vocal Adrenaline, and the Warblers. They're all going to be there. basically that's what ends up happening there. And Sue tells Sam that she's going to hypnotize him to basically, basically she hypnotizes him, and she tells him that, if he hears 3 words, and those 3 words are piano, flat red truck, and let's do a song, then he is to fall in love with Rachel, and then when they kiss, he's going to completely wake up and pretend like none of it happened. And while I think it's an interesting storyline, I really want to talk about Sam and Rachel in this episode, because I like the idea of them. I like seeing them as friends. I do. I really like seeing them as friends. Do I really want Rachel in a relationship, though? No, I don't. I don't want Rachel in a relationship. Especially not with Sam. Sam, I don't want her in a relationship with. If they were to get Rachel a new guy, if they were to introduce some new guy on the show, and him and Rachel get close, and possibly get together, like, honestly, I don't understand why they can't do this, and I don't know if it'd be awkward, but get Jonathan Groff back. I love Jesse and Rachel. Why not get Jesse back? I mean, it'd be perfect. They are so similar. They have such similar interests, and I like seeing Rachel, I like seeing again, we still saw season 1 Rachel in this episode, but some of the characters are very out of place in this episode, and what's going on with them I'll get to, but basically, what happens after is that Blaine talks to Rachel and Kurt about how he is planning to not throw the competition, because, basically, Rachel said to Will that she wants him to basically just play nice and just go with safe song selections, nothing too harsh for them. But Blaine does not want to do this. It's understandable why, because he is upset at what Kurt and Rachel did, with Jane. But of course, that wasn't their fault. That was Jane's idea. So he's still upset about that, and that I like seeing. I like seeing this tension between them. My problem is we don't get enough of that in this episode. It's mostly about Will and Sue, and we got way too much Sue focus in this episode. I gotta say this. Sue, I really like her character. She's very well written, but she went way too far in this episode. I'm gonna talk about why she went way too far. I'll get to that in a second. At this point, I was really enjoying the episode. I really enjoyed this point. I didn't have really too many problems with it, and, basically, that ends up happening, and then something ends up happening in Kurt and Blaine, which I'll talk about, but basically, Rachel and Sam go on a quick date, and they start to talk and everything, and I like seeing them in this position. Rachel is talking about how it's hard for her to adjust in Lima, because things were so fast-paced in New York. I like that she referenced New York in this episode. She talks about how she's still adjusting to it, and she tells him in her free time she watches Patti LuPone. The stuff they're giving Sam to say this season is really weird, and I don't like the way they're writing Sam. They wrote him in such a good way last season. Last season, they gave him very mature dialogue with Mercedes, and they made him a much more mature character. I thought when Sam got that haircut that he was going to be a completely changed man, and they've turned him back into an idiot in this episode. Everything he said in this episode, he was pretty much an idiot. He really was. And I'm sorry, but I don't want Rachel with an idiot. I don't. I like seeing Rachel be independent. I like seeing her in this position with Kurt. I like seeing that, but also, I forgot to say the scene with Blaine that I really liked is that Blaine tells them, you're not really doing the right thing here. You really should not be doing this. You're not ready really for this. I don't think you're ready for it. And I like seeing Blaine tell them that, because really, they're not really ready. They're really not ready for this position to handle it. They're not really ready to handle this position. And, but they're saying how they think the Glee Club is well-trained and everything, and that's sort of, they're giving them a taste of what sectionals is going to be like. I like seeing that, but I like that Blaine said that to them, because it's true. They really are not as ready as they think they are, which I like seeing. But, I mean, the newbies are so talented already, so it can't really go that bad. So at this point, I was really enjoying the episode, and then but the problem is, as the episode goes on, it gets crazier and just more and more crazy as it goes on. Because Rachel and Kurt, they come up with an idea of what to do in invitationals, that they already have picked songs, and they're concerned, also, I love seeing Madison and Mason. They kind of remind me of Sharpay and Ryan. A lot of people said they were reminding them of Sharpay and Ryan from High School Musical. I definitely see parallels with that, and I actually really like that. I think they're very funny, and still, I'm fine that, I'm fine that basically, what ended up happening with Rachel, and I'm fine with the newbies being in the background still. I'm fine with that. But if this keeps happening where it's as boring as it is tonight, then it really will definitely, then I'm definitely very worried for this season. Hopefully that this is just a one and done thing, because it gets weirder as it goes on. I'm going to talk about how weird it gets. Sue is constantly spying on them in this episode. I thought that was really dumb that she constantly spied on them. The song that she sang, though, knocked it out of the park. That is by far Sue's best song. I love her song that she performed tonight. But the stuff she was doing was so out of character for Sue. Her just going into a science lab and just destroying planets. What does she have against the science class? Why is she going against them? Why is she going against all the students and spraying them with a fire hose? I didn't understand any of that. I didn't understand why she was spraying all these students with a fire hydrant. That didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I just did not get that. I did not get why they did that. It did not work for me at all, and it really pissed me off that they went in this direction. I really did not want them to go in this direction, and you know, it was not good, unfortunately. It really was not good. So basically what ends up happening after this is that it gets weirder. It does. It gets weirder, unfortunately. Sue wants to somehow take down Will, so what she does is she goes over to Will's, Carmel High School, and who do we see but Principal Figgins' sister, Abigail Figgins, and the twist with his name being Principal is one of the dumbest things I think I've ever heard in my life. I think that was a really dumb scene, really out of place, and it cost Will his job. He's really upset about this. Rachel also, meanwhile, is learning to play the piano. I forgot to say in this episode, she's learning how to play the piano. She's getting lessons from Sam. The way they handle that, I didn't like at all. I didn't like that Rachel's learning how to, learning how to play the piano. I don't understand that. Like, why does she have to learn to play the piano? Will never played the piano during, regionals or nationals or anything like that when they were practicing. They had a pianist, so why does Rachel have to learn to play a piano? I don't understand why she was doing that. It was a dumb storyline. It didn't go anywhere. The only reason it was there was to get Sam and Rachel together. That really seemed like the only excuse. And because of how much the Sue stuff was, everything else in the episode was just rushed completely. And after that scene with Principal Figgins, I'm like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen on Glee. Something was definitely off tonight. And I think I know it was off. I think they just gave Sue too much to do, personally. They need to focus more on the storylines and not so much on the craziness. They need to focus more on the drama aspect and the realisticness of Glee, because that's when it works really well. It's when it's realistic and when the tone is right and things like that. That's when it works. When you have episodes like this, it takes me out of the show, definitely. And I'm not going to say it's one of the worst episodes that Glee's ever done. It definitely is the worst, though. Like, one of the weirdest, definitely. Because after this, it still gets weirder. Because, basically what ends up happening is that it gets weirder, as I said, because what ends up happening after this, and I'm sorry, guys, I can't remember what happened. I really was not into this episode, in case you guys can't tell. I'm trying to explain what happened, but I really was not as into this episode as I wanted to be, and I'm sorry, but I wasn't into it. Sue talks to Will, and I actually really like the stuff that she did with Will. I thought that was a very funny scene. The whole scene where she's talking about how the band's been neglected, and that, the band's been neglected, and how, she talks about Matt and Rory and Joe and Sugar, and I love seeing those scenes. I thought that was a very funny scene. But Will tells her that he's not going down without a fight, that he's going to make sure that when she is retired, that she is out of the school, and that the Glee Club is still going on, and he's going to make sure that still goes on. Which also gets Kurt to recruit, Principal Figgins and see if he is possibly available to become principal again. Which, if they actually make that a storyline, I'd like to see a storyline where they want to take down Sue, because I like seeing Sue as, defeated. I like seeing people, not want to help Sue. And this episode, they just got rid of that, and it kind of annoyed me. That's one of the things I like seeing, is that they were doing some things differently, and then they just went back to regular Sue. I understand they like seeing the side of Sue, and I like seeing the side of Sue too, but I like seeing the side of Sue where she was asking people to do things, and they said no. I like seeing that, definitely. I thought that was a lot better than what we got tonight, because that's not the only thing that happens. Keep in mind, there was only, one song in, 40 minutes, and there was, 20 minutes left of the episode. I'm just like, what? One song? That never happens in Glee. Rachel and Sam perform a song together, 1,000 Miles, and I would have liked this scene a lot more if they would not have kissed at the end. That seems so sudden. Like, Rachel would not just randomly go up to someone and kiss them. That's not how Rachel is. And Sam's not like that either, and I don't understand why they did that. I mean, she kissed him back, and I don't see why she suddenly just has these feelings for Sam. Now, I understand it was inevitable between the two. I like their chemistry in moving out in season 5, but that seems so much more real than this did. This seems so forced. This seemed like, I mean, but what was going on with Rachel seemed forced as well. It really did, and it really seemed out of place, and it kind of was just, it was really out of place, definitely. I was really not into that as what I wanted to be. And I really loved the song they sang. I thought the song they sang was beautiful. It was very well done. The performance was a little bit weird. I don't understand why they were, like, I think they were supposed to be in New York or something. I don't understand what that was all about, but I thought the song they sang was very, very good. But I thought what ends up happening between the two of them, I did not like at all. Rachel talks to Sam, tells him that she does not want this to happen, you know, that she wants them to go on a date. But Sam, of course, has no recollection of what's happened and tells her that he still has feelings for Mercedes. And now it seems like we're stuck in a love triangle, which I really hope does not happen. I hope what happens is that I honestly want Sam and Mercedes to end up together because I like them together. Rachel and Sam, hopefully this is not going to be... I understand. I heard they're getting them together, and hopefully what they do is they make this work, because right now it's not working. I think this could work in the end, but right now it's not working. I don't see it working right now. I don't see any chemistry between them, really. It seemed very forced to me, and I definitely was not as into their relationship as I wanted to be. I was thinking that this episode was going to make me into their relationship, because, of course, every problem I've had so far this season has not been a problem, because I've actually really been into it. But this was the first episode of the season I really was not into, because then we get to the craziest part of the episode. This was just absolutely ridiculous, because Sue is not going down without a fight. She has a step 2 to the plan, which also involves hypnotizing Sam, and what she did here was absolutely insane, and this was when I was just like, I am done with this episode. I'm done with this episode. I think it's really dumb. She hypnotizes Sam to basically steal Will's mail and say that it was Rachel that did it, and that Rachel's going after him. And let me say this, Will would know Rachel better than this. Will knows that Rachel is not crazy. He knows this. Yes, she wants the spotlight, but Rachel's not really like that anymore. In fact, she is more of just trying to coach the Glee Club and trying to make sure these kids are well-trained. And if Rachel knows anything about, if Will knows anything about Rachel, it's that Rachel would not ever betray him. Rachel would never go against Will. Why would she ever do that? Never would Rachel ever do that. I mean, she's trying to follow his footsteps and be as good as he was. So Will should have just thought in his mind, no, there's no way that's true. But of course, Will goes along with it. I don't know why. That seems so out of character for Will. I'm literally like, what? Why would Will believe that? Now, don't get me wrong. I like the tension between the two of them, but I don't like seeing Will and Rachel as enemies. I really don't. I like seeing them close as friends, because it's supposed to show the impact that Will has had on Rachel, and I like seeing that. And now that they are against each other, I don't really like it, because I do really like what happens next, though. I did really like what happens after that. As far as what happened with Sue, though, with her hypnotizing Sam, I just thought it did not work the second time. It did not work at all, and basically the invitational happens, and I like seeing that vocal adrenaline does not like Will, and that's because he tries to coach them like New Directions, and they don't want that kind of coach. They don't want someone who is coaching them like he did with New Directions, and I like seeing that. I like seeing that they don't like him, they want to do their own thing. That I like, because I think it's setting up what's going to happen with Will, which I think what's going to happen with Will is that he's going back to New Directions. That if this episode does not indicate that, I don't know what's going to. This episode, I think he's going back to New Directions after this episode. I mean, he was so confident in getting New Directions back that I definitely feel like he's going back to New Directions after this episode. I mean, not after this episode, but in this season. Before the show ends, he will be back in New Directions. So they performed some songs, and I gotta say, the performances were horrible. I did not like them at all. I thought the songs that Vocal Adrenaline sang were surprisingly terrible. Like, Dance the Night Away was very good. Rock Lobster was fun and Whip It, but it was, how can that be better than what New Directions is preparing? Like, that's seriously what they would do to go against Rachel. Even, like, they're not even clapping. Like, Rachel and Kurt are literally looking like, what the hell is going on here? Literally, this is my reaction. What the fuck am I watching? That's literally my reaction. And that was just weird, and that's how that plot ends. Yeah, I know. It was really weird. What's even weirder was Kurt and Blaine. However, I thought Kurt and Blaine, the stuff that they did with Kurt and Blaine was more well handled, minus the Sue stuff. Some of the stuff that the Sue did was very good. I don't like Sue being a psycho, though. I don't like Sue being obsessed with Klaine. I don't understand why she's so, like, obsessed with them. I understand Kurt's always, Sue's always been very protective of Kurt, and she's always been loyal to him and things like that. She's never really gone against Kurt. She's always been loyal to him, and she's always really cared about him. But why is she fangirling over Klaine? I don't understand that. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that I know a lot of people like seeing that, but it's out of character for Sue. Sue suddenly just does whatever she can to get Kurt and Blaine back to her because she feels like Kurt doesn't know what he's saying. But I like seeing Kurt in this position of not really knowing what to do with Blaine. Meanwhile, Dave and Blaine go through some crazy stuff in this episode because Sue gets a bear cub over to Dave and Blaine's house because Dave claims that he was afraid, like he was attracted to bears, which apparently meant a very gay man, and Kurt tells Sue, look, you gotta stop, I don't want to be with Blaine, you gotta stop what you're doing, but of course Sue's not gonna listen. She does more stuff to Blaine and Dave, which I actually thought was really funny what she did. She gets every single guy that Dave has dated, and every single guy that Dave has dated is like in his 40s, like they're like shaved, they're like very, I don't know how to say it. They have a bunch of facial hair. They have mustaches. They're very old for Dave. And Blaine's looking at him like, what are you doing? And she also reveals to Blaine and Dave that they are third cousins. Okay. That's kind of weird, but I did like the conversation between Blaine and Kurt in this episode. Blaine and Kurt talk about how they don't want to get back together right now, but they do want to remain as friends, and that, they're kind of sorry about what happened. I like seeing that they're in that position. I like seeing that, but what they're doing with them, I don't like that Sue is going to be the one to get them back together. I want to see these two get back together on their own. That's what I want to happen. I don't want to see Sue constantly trying to get them back together because it's not her job to get them back together, and she needs to understand that. Just because Sue wants it to happen, it's not going to happen. What I want to see is Sue wants all these things to happen, but they're not going to happen. That's where I hope this leads. I hope this does not lead to Sue getting everything she wants and everything that happens to Sue that she wants happens to her. I don't want to see that happen because I don't want Glee to go in that direction. I think it's really dumb if they decide to do that, and I would not like that at all. I think that'd be really stupid. So yeah, I like what they did with Blaine and Kurt, and then by the end of the episode, how did they end it? I'm trying to remember. Oh, Kurt was on a speed dating thing, and he ended up meeting up with this, like, 50-year-old man. I thought it was a well-done scene, honestly. It wasn't anything, like, too weird, because Kurt didn't realize that he was a 50-year-old man. He was talking to him, and he didn't realize it, and he talks about how, he's actually a very nice man, but I definitely don't think he's going to be in a relation with, like, a 50-year-old. That'd just be weird if that happened, and that was literally the episode. Yeah, I know. Not normal for Glee. Something was off tonight, and I think what was off was what they did with Sue. I think what they wanted to do was because this is the last season, they wanted what happened with Sue to be the funniest thing Sue has ever done. They wanted this to be Jane Lynch's best performance. They wanted it to work for her. They wanted everyone to say she's back, and it didn't work for me at all. I mean, I think what they did with her was really dumb, and if Sue hadn't been as involved as she was, I probably would have loved tonight's episode, because they could have shown more of Sam and Rachel's relationship. I want to see this work. I want to be into their relationship, but I'm not because of how they did it. Everything that was done tonight was all Sue's agenda. Every single thing was because of Sue. I wanted to see something happen that Sue did not plan, and everything is going Sue's way, and I hate it. I hate that things are going Sue's way. I don't like seeing this at all. I'm very upset about this episode. Now, this episode was not terrible. I did give it 3 out of 5 stars. I'd probably give this episode like a C+, because I really was not as into it as I wanted to be. The songs tonight were really, really good. Songs were really good. Songs were on point. Everything else were just really, really out there. I don't know where they're heading with this. Is Will going back to New Directions? I feel like he's going to. The thing with Rachel playing the piano, I didn't really like seeing. I didn't think that was a well-done storyline. What do you think of Rachel and Sam? As I said, I think they can get me into this relationship if they handle it better. What I want to see them do, and what I'm hoping they do, is that after this 2-part episode, go back to the way the first 3 episodes were written. The reason I love the first 3 episodes so much is because they were written like it was very realistic. It was realistic for Glee. It was different for Glee. It was new for Glee. It was more rich and more entertaining, and every character shined in those episodes. Every character had their moment. Every character had something to do, And it's not just because the alumni was not in this episode, because I think I still would have really liked this episode, because the alumni, everyone that was in the alumni, they weren't in New York, and I was fine with that. I think the problem is that they got Sue involved too much, and I wanted to see Sue more defeated. I definitely want to see this happen to Sue. I want to see Sue retire. I want to see Sue go away. I want to see Sue be... I want to see something happen to Sue where she maybe finally sees the light. I want to see that happen. I don't want to see this kind of storyline. I don't want to see Glee go this far. It's the final season. I like seeing what they were doing. There were some things I liked they were doing this episode. I like seeing Rachel talk about New York and how it's different for her. I like seeing that, but I don't really know if I want Rachel and Sam together. I don't even know if I want... Kurt and Blaine are going to get back together, but I don't know if I like the way they're being handled. I don't know if I like the way they're handling it at all. I hope that they get back together on their own terms. I am looking forward to next week's episode, though, because next week's episode, Sue's going to make some sort of announcement where they have to have 12 members, and Rachel's going to try to recruit Kitty, which I'm actually really looking forward to seeing, because I really want to see what they do with that storyline. Meanwhile, Sam's going to try to recruit Spencer. That I'm looking forward to seeing. But if this leads to Sam and Rachel, they definitely need to take this a lot slower. I know that it's going to be happening in, like, episode 7. They definitely need to take these next 3 episodes and carefully plot it, because I know I've already done it, but they need to be a lot slower. This episode was way too slow because of the Sue stuff. It slowed things down, and it just did not work for me, and I'm sorry, but it was very disappointing, definitely very disappointing. But that's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. I really wanted to like it, and I really didn't. Worst episode of the season so far. Definitely was not up to par with the first 3 episodes. Did not like it as much. I was pretty close to hating it. I really was. I almost hated this episode, but there were things that saved it. There were a few things that I liked. Some of the conversations in the beginning. The first 5 minutes I really enjoyed, but other than that, I really did not like it. So that's in my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Also, guys, I will be on a live stream tonight with one of my YouTube friends, The Kid of Awesome. He's doing this thing called the Stream of Awesome. Please check it out. He's been wanting to do this for months now. He's going to be talking about the TV shows he watches, and we're going to be talking about the movies he's watched, TV shows we're looking forward to, movies we're looking forward to. It's going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to doing it. Please check his channel out. It's The Kid of Awesome. It's in my recommended channels. It's in that on my channel. Definitely check out his channel. He's a very good YouTuber. He's been wanting to do this. He's had a copyright strike and he hasn't been able to do this, so I'm very happy he's finally being able to do this. And we'll see you guys in my next video, which will be, I think, for a movie review, so I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.